All right, I have finally returned home from Helldivers HQ, and we're taking a good long look at all of the carnage of basically everything that has gone down over the last 4 or 5 days. We've been through a 1-year anniversary celebration, some sort of whatever they're attempting to call it over at Sony, free armor and a new cape, a major order in progress, and a damn migrating wormhole that nobody really knows where it will end up. We've also got a new update to the game that is being met with mixed feelings. Plus, as if that wasn't enough, I've got some thoughts for you on what I was able to experience at Helldivers headquarters. If you haven't done so already, please consider hitting subscribe and ringing the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. And now let's get into all the latest from Helldivers. Quickly tearing through all of the basics here, and the Superstore has reset once again to feature the UF84 Doubt Killer Jin-Roh medium armor with unflinching as the passive, along with the iconic helmet, cape, and banner. I really hope this passive can get a little rework in the future, as it is underutilized, and honestly, it should include the reduced recoil bonus here as well. Anyways, as always, expect to spend super creds in the Superstore. Turning next to the Gallactic table, and while we were away, the major order turned to fighting back the Illuminate advance, requiring a total of 11 successful squid defenses, and with just over 2 days to go, and as of the recording of this footage, we are currently sitting at 6 of 11 needed defense campaigns. Also, the dark energy accumulation meter is still accumulating, now somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 full, and we've got the Meridia wormhole currently on the move inwards towards Angel's Venture, with a possible final resting point just above Super Earth. Now personally, I thought this would be going down for the 1-year anniversary, but hindsight being 2020, it is so good that it did not, and more on that in a moment. Also, I'm sure some of you are still churning through the current war bond, busy unlocking items in there, and so every last medal is worth its weight in gold. And in case you want a quick 15 more medals, today's daily is to kill 500 Illuminate. And with just how target rich those Illuminate missions are, this should give you no issues in completing. A new segment here from my Helldivers videos is a mod showcase, and depending on when these are created and added to Nexus mods, I'm going to try to sprinkle these into my future uploads. For today, this is the Herald of Silence Mootacoo visual mod created by 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Hopefully I said that correctly. Anyways, as always, I will leave a link to this one down in the video description, and I really like the way this one takes advantage of the heavyweight Battle Master armor, which features reduced recoil and fortified. I also really love how the author has laid into the Chaos Diver motif, complete with their emblem on the left shoulder pauldron, and the crimson highlights really make this armor pop. But anyways, there you go, because I know I'm going to have some of you who will instantly comment about the sick armor on the thumbnail and wonder what it is. Since I logged on this morning for the first time since mid last week, I had some issues getting a hold of the new chromed out B-22 model citizen armor, actually requiring me to log in and out of the game 3 times in a row before it ever registered and showed up on screen as in my inventory. I'd love to hear how you feel about this armor, but the blue and chrome just really pops, and Democracy Protects is a really good and often underrated armor passive. Now, along with the armor, you also get the fully chromed out helmet and the Eye of Freedom cape, which matches the set. And let's just say that wearing this armor, your squad should be able to see you from a mile away, so that, oops, I didn't see you standing there, accidental kill excuse just got a lot harder to try to pull off. As I was logging time and recording some footage this morning, I also saw the emblem of freedom, aka the F cape, start to appear on super destroyers around the galaxy. So be on the lookout for this one, and also drop me a comment. Let me know if it arrived on your ships yet or not. One topic we are still waiting for more information about and may never receive is what the hell happened with the PlayStation Network this weekend, which really could not have come at a worse time, considering February 8th was the 1-year anniversary of Helldivers 2 launching live to the public. USA Today ran with this headline, quote, PlayStation Network services restored after hours-long outage. Sorry for the inconvenience. And I don't need to run through this article word for word as you lived through it, but Sony still hasn't said exactly what caused those issues. Are we looking at a data breach? I mean, who knows? Although this outage is far from what we saw back in 2011 when the network was down for nearly 3 weeks. I also decided to do a little bit of checking up on this one, looking for any information that could be found, and honestly, there's very little to be had, but Tom Warren did note that Microsoft blocked a DDoS attack on Azure Xbox infrastructure over this past Christmas holiday. So it's possible Sony was trying to deal with this same type of attack over this past weekend. But like I said, we were at Arrowhead HQ when it happened, and it was a case of us just staring and looking each other and asking why today of all days. But yeah, it looks to be sorted. And what a near miss, right? Because could you imagine if Meridia had already reached Super Earth, something epic was just about to happen, and click, the entire PlayStation network just goes down. But now, over to the main event, because Helldivers got a brand new update this morning. That's right, patch 1.002.103 has gone live. And for me on PC, it was actually really small, just 93.4 megs in size, and hopefully any of my PS5 viewers out there can comment and let me know how large the file download size was for you. Anyways, back to it. This one has thrown a bit of a wrench into the works, and it starts off with a lengthy explanation as to why the changes were made, centered on the 2 new Warbond weapon releases, the LAS17 Double Edge Sickle and the Pocket Rocket Ultimatum sidearm, and how the damage model was incorrect and ammo consumption mechanics have now been adjusted. Now, for this, I've done some testing, and also I took it upon myself and hopped into the official Helldiver Discord and kind of impromptu polled the community for feedback there as well, which I will weave into here, and of course, you're going to get my thoughts on everything as well. So, first off, the SickleDE, the TLDR here is that it has been rebalanced. Now, the older version, aka before today, had armor pen 3, so that's medium armor pen for the duration of you firing the weapon, along with heat buildup as follows. Again, this is the old version. From 0 up to 25%, you took no damage at all. From 26 to 90% heat buildup, you took 10 damage per second, and at 91% heat and up, you took 50 damage per second plus a fire status effect. The new version has been modified thus. 0 to 25% now comes with light armor pen, so that's AP2, and 55 base damage along with no heat damage. 26 up to 50% bumps now up to AP3, so kind of like the OG version. Same damage output and 10 damage per second to the user. 51 up to 90% stays at armor pen 3, but you pick up 15 damage output per shot. So that's up from 55 to 70, and the amount of the heat damage you take moves now to 20 damage per shot. And finally, at 91% heat, the weapon moves up, by the way, this is new, to armor pen 4. You keep the 70 damage per shot, and you take 50 damage per shot along with the fire status effect. And of course, you can see the pick up 1 additional starting mag and 1 additional spare mag as well. Now, I tried out the SickleDE both yesterday and today, and the initial moment you start firing the weapon does feel slightly less powerful now, namely due to the drop in armor pen from 3 down to 2. So if you start hitting medium armor targets with your first shots, it just doesn't punch as hard. After that, it feels largely the same to me in terms of base damage output, if not a little more powerful at the 51 to 90 range because of the extra base damage bonus. And I did take it up to the max with armor pen 4 just for testing and how it works. But again, my feelings on it, but when I'm going up against a heavy armor target, I normally have a stratagem or a heavy support weapon for dealing with them, and I just shoulder my primary. Where these new changes really started to show a bit of a difference here was in the damage received. You see, the old version was far more lenient with inflicting damage against the player, just 10 damage per second, all the way up to 90% heat buildup. This meant you could run the SickleDE with other armor sets not featuring the inflammable armor passive, but with these new changes, it has leaned much further over to, if you want to fire this weapon and survive, you need to only use inflammable, but the vitality booster here is also a must. 20 damage per second is sizable chunks against your health bar, and if you ride the trigger just that little too much, it can really come back to bite you in the ass. Personally, I'm not a huge spray and pray type player, as I like to acquire targets and I try to conserve ammo when I can, so I was consistently hanging out in that 51 to 90 range and always having to deal with 20 damage per second against my health bar, which pretty much cuts me out of taking advantage of Armor Pen 4 at 91% and up. Now, when I asked the official Discord about the changes, I didn't really see anyone torqued about the SickleDE modifications. It still hits hard as a primary, and once you pass the light armor pen threshold, it becomes the old, if not better, damage version of its former self. But you really have to take into account the increased damage modifiers now in effect against you. Where this thing takes a hard left turn with portions of the community comes in when we talk about the Ultimatum sidearm. So first up, no changes were made to handling or damage output. It is still a portable precision strike launcher, so all that still stays in effect. But where Arrowhead has changed this thing up is in the ammo counts, specifically how it was buffed by the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 optimization and Siege Ready armor passives. Now in the past, with Siege Ready, you had more spare ammo before needing an ammo box or to use a resupply, and with the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 optimization, you could die, respawn, and there you were again with multiple shots from this nuke launcher. The change that was made is that Arrowhead has removed anything that gives the player additional ammo above what the weapon would normally come with. So that means no Siege Ready bonuses and no spamming 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 optimization respawns. Now, since I was traveling to and from Stockholm while this weapon was released as part of the new war bond, I've had limited time to actually use it myself. And from what I saw, it was and is an absolute demonic piece of technology we Helldivers get to use. Translation, it's crazy powerful and I freaking love it. Now, where the community is getting pissed about this is actually a twofold issue. The first is that this is the only weapon that has now been altered to not be affected by Siege Ready and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 optimization. When you break it down into basics, some players are looking at it as Arrowhead nerfing out some of the fun and damage potential, segregating this weapon and this weapon only. The second issue here is all about timing. And here's a comment I grabbed from a Discord user, and I clipped it for this video, and they absolutely have a solid point to make. They say, if something is bugged in a new war bond, you need to inform the community ASAP. Saying it was bugged a week after and nerfing it just feels like you scammed us. Paid for one thing, then you change it. Internal testing should have caught such an apparently obvious bug. I like the work you guys do, just frustrated. To which Shams Georgiani, the studio CEO, did respond, that's fair, I'll make a note of that. The communication aspect here is something I've spoken about numerous times in my Helldivers uploads, and there's something in their internal process structure that really slows it down, if not blocks them from releasing communications the moment issues arise. If the war bond releases and we immediately see a notice saying something like, hey guys, we released a pre-alpha build on the Sickle and Ultimatum and we are currently working on a few changes to those weapons, so watch for that, then we're probably talking about how this went a lot smoother. But here again, we are looking at changes made post-launch, which you may look at them and see them as massive or minuscule, but regardless of that, some players are not vibing with the we got one thing at launch and lose it a week later scenario. They just got to go through again. Honestly, I never actually got a chance to really experience either of these weapons for multiple hours of playtime prior to today, so I'm kind of flying blind here, if you know what I mean, but I can understand both sides of the coin, especially when it comes down to the Ultimatum argument. Let's keep it civil, but definitely sound off in the comment section and let me know where you land on both of these changes, and let's get a solid discussion going here. Also at this point, I had actually recorded quite a lengthy segment about what I got to see and experience while in Stockholm and visiting Arrowhead at Helldivers HQ. Now, many of the specifics were covered under NDA, but really at this point, considering everything that went down this morning, I scrapped all of that to instead just focus on one aspect of what I would love to see moving forward. As those of us who were in attendance and are now part of this program will attest to, we want to help make this game better. And when things like this happen, again, big issue or small, it really comes down to testing and communication, of which my hope is that we can help Arrowhead help themselves with both aspects. You know what I'm saying? And this in turn means a better product for you, the player, when it goes public, less errors and more open lines of communication, and communicating not just when the shit hits the proverbial fan, but also for just general information. I'm going to leave you with this. I got to see a fair amount with my time there at the studios. I got to meet 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 himself and have extended and organic conversations with many members of the dev team. And from what I saw, I'm both hopeful and excited for the future. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring that notification bell so you never miss one of my future upload alerts. All my socials, including links to all of today's sources, can of course be found down in the video description. A massive shout out to the now nearly 255,000 of you insane subscribers that check in and support me on the daily. And until the next one, this is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏